I'm gathering quotes on Google Documents about loneliness, and I reflect on a certain kind of loneliness that relates to the maddening unconsciousness and bizarreness of computers. And I find this in every Word document software that I've tried. We're going to go through this ritual here together. So I'm trying to get a consistent space here. So I'll click it there, and in this moment it worked. This is the first time that it's worked. This in and of itself is a form of loneliness, that when trying to communicate something, it disappears, and when it's invisible, it returns. So every single one of these quotes has either had a double space or no space until this one. This is, of course, the ideal spacing right here. And so we'll go back. So it's working, and this is the way it should work. So we now have 2 out of 20 in a row where the copying and paste function is working. Only it's not working because all of these times that I've copied and pasted and wanted it to work, it didn't. And in this video, I'm trying to share the way that it doesn't work, and it is working reliably or unreliably, because it's the opposite of what I'm trying to communicate. And it's very possible that for some reason that I and nobody understands, that the screen recording software is coming into play. Because it's very bizarre trying to get to the bottom of some of these patterns. But little variables make a difference. And all I can say is that in the exact same document, the moment that I started the screen casting software, every one of these things works. Because before that, if I put it up here, it would be right here. And if I put one space down, it would go to 2 spaces, meaning it wouldn't work either way. So the irony is, if this is in fact the correct assumption, that something with the screencast software has altered in some way the program, which is now functioning 100% perfectly, that when I stop this video, the glitch in the software will return. I don't know the answer to that. But this particular phenomena, which I would say doesn't normally happen with screencasting software, meaning most of the time if I'm running into a problem, or at least 70% of the time if I'm running into the problem recurs once I start the screen software. But there are many problems like this in Word document, particularly on bullets. If I introduce a bullet in Google Documents and go down, sometimes if you press return on an empty bullet, it'll go back to the bullet over here, and sometimes it'll just create a string of 20 empty bullets while you're waiting for it to go back to the the bit over here, which is maddening, because you would think that after 40 years of word processing software that a word processor, and it doesn't matter if it's Word or Google Documents or email formatting, would work, and yet sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to pause the software and see if the problem returns. So I'm going to pause the screen recording software. So I've now made several other pastes with the recording software paused, and it's still working perfectly. So the next step is to turn off the recording software and see if the glitch returns when no one else is here to witness it. I did close the software, and several of the quotes continued perfectly. And then one of them bumped down, meaning I put it on this line and it jumped down and was it had an extra line in the paste. But what I found was that if I copy and paste the same text one line below the next, it doesn't repeat the error. So the first time the paste is done, it goes down. But if I go directly onto that one and paste in the same place, predicting it to go down again, it doesn't. But then a few other quotes down, there was another jump. And then, very interesting, as I moved the mouse up without touching any of the mouse buttons, not only did I highlight a whole bit as I was moving up towards the B, but the machine began scrolling. In other words, when you press the middle button, you can scroll like this, but it's a very noticeable click. My hand is not anywhere near the buttons. And when you press the right key, it doesn't work. When you press the left key and start going up, that works. But it functioned just like this, which you have to actually hold. If you let go of the button, it doesn't continue up. But without touching any buttons, it was pretending that I was holding and going up here. And I haven't experienced that glitch any time that I can remember, but it is another glitch in a matter of 5 minutes, and these are things that I think the reason they bring up a sense of loneliness is that one cannot share a response to something that nobody knows or is experiencing. So that's the first kind of loneliness. The second kind of loneliness is the sense of a mysterious hostility, meaning all I want is all the lines to line up. And interestingly, in this Goodread thing, the first couple of quotes that I did looked like this automatically. This one looked like that, this one looked like that. But then they started becoming bold at the top. And so the first ones, I just pressed copy and paste, and they looked like this. And then from that point on, they've all been getting bold. So I have to go and unbold just that upper bit. So that was the first thing, and I thought, please don't change. You've got it perfectly. But everyone since then, I've had to unbold the top section. And then the first couple of, first 5 or so worked well with the spacing. And then no matter what I did, if I put it this point, it would jump down 2 lines, and then I'd have to come up and delete a line. Or if I put it at this point, if I put it at this point, it would jump down 2 lines, and I'd have to come up and delete it. Or if I put it here, it would then be there. So there was absolutely no way to get what I actually wanted. And the sense that this was a mindless machine that was just doing the exact opposite of what I wanted, number one, and then doing it erratically, brings up a feeling of helplessness. Because it makes no sense. And there's nothing that can be done about it. And I think it's that thought, there's nothing that can be done about it, that globalizes into other areas. Because, if you learn that there's a glitch, that it automatically adds an extra line in, it's easy. You just compensate for the glitch. That's very common with computers. It adds an extra line, so you start here because you want it one line below. But if you do it here and it's not what you want and it doesn't work, and then you do it here and then it adds an extra line only when you don't want it to, there's a helplessness. It's like there's nothing I can do about that. And that helplessness globalizes, meaning there have been other times, traumatic memories, when I've been helpless, that have been really horrible. And so one of the reactions I have is rage, because it is so random and yet reliably counterproductive or destructive, meaning it's reliably not what I want, and nobody benefits from it, but that's just the way it is. I think these things remind me that I'm not in control. I'm not in control if someone wants to torture my children, if somebody wants to torture me. I'm not in control if I'm innocent and nobody believes me. Those are also deep helplessnesses. There's nothing I can do. And I think that these little moments of erratic, destructive computer behavior, even to the point of suddenly disappearing when I want to repeat them. See, then it's the shift. Like, I don't want it to happen, so it's happening. Now I want to see it happen, and I want to share that, and then it's not happening. It's another feeling of helplessness. So unresolved helplessness from past trauma is the core kind of root emotional source of rage or despair. But the small things are, these are the trigger points for that.